She was a broke widow driving her two little girls home in the middle of a storm when she saw a luxury SUV wrecked in a ditch. Inside was a millionaire, bleeding and barely alive. She didn't know that saving him would change her life forever. The rain pounded hard against the windshield as Emily Carter drove her pale blue minivan through the empty road. Her knuckles tightened on the wheel, her breath fogging the glass. In the back seat, Lily, 8, held her little sister Grace close under a worn blanket. They were returning from yet another failed job interview, and silence hung heavy in the van. Since her husband's sudden death in a construction accident, Emily had been holding their fragile world together. Overdue bills, a leaking roof, and the constant fear of not knowing what tomorrow would bring. Through the haze of rain, bright headlights flickered ahead. Emily squinted. A black luxury SUV lay crumpled in the ditch, steam curling into the stormy air. Her heart pounded as she pulled over, rain soaking her instantly. Inside the wreck, a man slumped over the wheel, blood streaking his forehead. His expensive suit was torn, his breath shallow. "Sir, can you hear me?" she shouted. No response. Her fingers shook as she freed him from the seatbelt, pulling with all her strength. Lily stood outside the van, clutching Grace's hand, eyes wide in fear. Just as smoke began to hiss from the hood, Emily dragged the stranger to safety and laid him in the back seat beside her daughters. "Hold his hand," she told them. "Don't let him sleep." She sped toward the hospital, wipers scraping furiously, tires sliding on wet asphalt. In the back, the man stirred. "Why are you helping me?" he whispered. Emily kept her eyes on the road. "Because someone once helped me," she murmured, "and I never got the chance to thank them." Grace's tiny fingers curled around his, and Lily kept whispering, "You're going to be okay." Bright hospital lights replaced the storm as nurses rushed him inside. Emily stood drenched, ready to slip away quietly, when a nurse stopped her. "Ma'am, he's asking for you." In a private ward, the man was propped against pillows, a fresh bandage around his head. His sharp eyes studied her. "You saved my life," he said. "People don't usually do that, not for me." She nodded awkwardly, ready to leave, but he asked her to visit again. Over the next days, Emily learned his name, Daniel Hayes, a man known for wealth and a reputation for being ruthless. Yet, in their conversations, she found someone more human than headlines suggested. He asked about her life, and she told him the accident, the struggles, the sleepless nights wondering how to feed her daughters. She didn't speak for sympathy, but because he truly listened. One evening, he invited her and the girls to his mansion. Marble floors, chandeliers, a grand piano. It was another world. Emily felt small in her pale blue coat. Daniel noticed. "This isn't charity," he said gently. "I have a rural property that needs managing. I think you'd be perfect for it." She hesitated, pride telling her to refuse. But that night, watching her daughters sleep in their cramped room, she whispered to herself, "Maybe this is the chance." She took the job. The property by the ocean became their fresh start. Lily thrived at her new school. Grace began drawing again, and Emily felt the weight on her chest lift. Daniel visited often, not as a boss, but as a friend. Slowly, walls began to fall. Months later, Emily learned something that stopped her cold. The night of the accident, Daniel had been on his way to sign a deal that would have forced dozens of families off their land. But after meeting her, hearing her story, he canceled it. "I realized," he told her one breezy evening on the porch, "that real wealth isn't about money. It's about living a life worth sharing." On the anniversary of her husband's death, Emily stood at his grave with Lily and Grace, placing flowers gently on the stone. "We're okay now," she whispered. "Someone helped us, just like you once did." In the distance, Daniel waited quietly, letting her have the moment. For the first time in years, the future felt like a sunrise after the longest storm.